Not everybody may be familiar with a Chromebook. It's not a replacement for a notebook computer, really. It's completely self-contained. It works best without a mouse. It has a really good trackpad. This is just about all Chromebooks. The Chromebook is a portable device with AI and search capabilities, saves everything for you. You don't have to push the button to save stuff. It's safe for most malware and viruses because the programs and apps do not get down into the operating system. It's used mostly for people for communications, email, searching, but it does do spreadsheets and the whole gamut of similar things to Microsoft Office. It's basically a big phone and a keyboard. Now, I look at it as a very portable device. You don't have to be tied to your computer station, and you'll be grabbing it and going to anywhere outside on your picnic table on your patio, which brings up some of the good points of the Spin 13. So I bought an Acer Spin 13. I absolutely love it. It has been on sale for $549, but now it's $629 at Best Buy. The Acer site has it for $999. Amazon still got it for in the $800 region, it's actually compatible in price with a 1980 Commodore VIC-20 in today's money, because that was new, $299, and $299 in 1980 equals about the price you can buy this for. I found that pretty interesting. So the 713, I'll refer to it, the 713 is fast, has a high resolution, sharp screen, a wider screen than any computer I've seen so far, and brighter than any other Chromebook that I've seen. Let's take a look at the specs and see what that means. The build quality is aluminum top and bottom and plastic around the keyboard. It's mil spec. It survives a drop of 4 feet and withstands 130-pound force. They're full 360 hinges for a tablet mode and tent mode, and there's a 1-finger lift, and it weighs 3.2 pounds. It has very narrow bezels. Are you hearing me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Keep going.
That's okay. Okay. The screen, this is the important part. The screen has a 3:2 aspect ratio, and it's not the normal 16:9 flattened screen. The resolution is very high. It's 2256 by 1500, and it's far better than the 1080p. Now here's the big one. The vertical height on the screen, because it's in a 3:2 ratio, gives you the same amount of screen as a 15-inch screen, but it's in a 13-inch case. So that makes it very portable. Here's another one. The brightness is 450 nits. Probably got one of the brightest screens in the business. And you can read it outside in the sun. There's a fan in it. It's very quiet, and the only time you hear it's when you turn it on. And I've never heard it since. And I've had 15 tabs open and videos going. The keyboard is good, really good. It has good click and key travel. Feels good, wider. It's wider key spacing than normal Chromebooks. I'm not sure exactly how. The trackpad, this is the real nice part. The trackpad is Corning Gorilla Glass, and it's smooth and it resists oil. It's so smooth you think you're putting your finger on a piece of ice at a pond and water's on it and moving around. It's absolutely wonderful. Now, talk about the ports. A lot of Chromebooks only have a C port. This one has 2 USB-C ports, 1 USB-A port, a headphone jack, a micro SD slot, HDMI is full-size HDMI, and 5 Bluetooth 5 and Wi-Fi 6. The speakers are not much to crow about. The volume is okay in a quiet room. There's little bass, but who listens to a movie on the Chromebook anyway? You send it up to your TV by screen sharing. The processor, it's 10th generation Core i5, 8 gigabytes of RAM, 128 SSD, NVMe expandable fast storage, 15 plus. I've had 15 tabs open and the video runs no problem. The battery life is 10 to 12 hours. So it's a really portable machine. You just pick it up in the beginning of the day and use it wherever you want to use it. It has VSI stylus capable, but there's no internal storage for that stylus. With a high res and bright screen, you can use a smaller screen than you would think you can use because the contrast density is so much better. I'm used to bigger screens, but I have an eye problem where my eyes water. And since I bought this thing, I've had no problem with my eyes at all. If you want to get a good review of most any Chromebook, I strongly suggest going to chromeunboxed.com, and they're good, reliable reviews. I guess that's it. I hope I made my 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris.
Good morning, TFSers. This is Dewey, and my Tech Talk topic for today is streaming and cord cutting. Streaming and cord cutting. Am I hearing groans out there? Well, is Dewey really going to bore us with stuff we already know about? Well, it's not my intent. What I really hope to present is a global view so that it will be easier for you to explain streaming and cord cutting to your friends and family. Did I hear someone out there say that sounds like finessing? Well, maybe it is. Anyway, what is TV streaming? Streaming is simply using the internet to provide both live and pre-recorded TV that allows you to watch what you want to watch whenever you want to watch it. Streamers may choose free content only or may subscribe to whatever paid content they'd like to have that will fulfill their needs and wants in areas like news, sports, entertainment, and so forth. So what is a cord cutter? Now, that's a person who cancels their cable or satellite subscription and instead uses an internet-based service or wireless phone service for their TV. The cost of streaming TV can range from free to beyond ridiculous, depending on the content chosen. Also, networks like ESPN, MSNBC, Fox News, and so forth do require a subscription, and you need to know that they're almost never free. Is anything free for cord cutters? Well, shopping channels are typically free. In fact, they usually pay to be carried. For non-subscription movie channels like YouTube and also many others, your only cost is watching a few commercials. A big part of my advice on streaming TV is to remember that there is a tremendous extra value of totally free OTA TV. Now that's over the air and, like antenna TV for those who are able to have and use an antenna. What about 5G home internet? Now, some of you think about 5G as only the phone, but 5G home internet will also eventually be available to many homes with blazing speeds, I might add. In fact, Verizon 5G Home is now available in limited areas of Sacramento, Los Angeles, Houston, and Indianapolis. Verizon has planned a 5G Home rollout in 20 more cities before this year of 2020 ends. Now, how about internet for those who live far away from large cities? Because you aren't going to see, 5G home internet very soon. In October, Verizon expanded its unlimited 4G LTE home internet service to rural areas in 48 states. Now, it offers a 25 megabit per second download speed with no data caps on up to 2 devices at a time. And the cost isn't bad. It's $40 a month if you're a Verizon subscriber and $60 a month if you're not. T-Mobile also offers a home internet service, but with a smaller footprint area-wise. They're still working on it. What's the difference between streaming services and streaming players? This is something you really need to know when you're explaining it to your friends and relatives. It can be understood to include both multi-channel services like YouTube TV, Hulu Live TV, which offer many channels, or perhaps movie services like Netflix, HBO, and so forth that offer tons of movies. What about streaming players and streaming devices? For all practical purposes, There are 4 streaming players out there and perhaps 5 popular streaming services. There are a few more, but 5 main ones. The streaming players are Fire TV devices, Roku devices, Apple TV, that's great, and the new Chromecast with remote control. Streaming devices will include Roku TVs, iOS and Android phones, and their respective tablets, also PlayStation 4 and Xbox. So those are the streaming devices. What about smart TVs? Everybody, I got to get a smart TV, then I don't need to get a Roku or a Fire TV. Smart TVs are those which are able to connect to the internet. It is really a huge subject because there are just so many variations, but it boils down to this. If you're shopping for a TV and you buy a good quality TV, it will almost certainly be a smart TV. Also, many agree that simply adding a streaming device like Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and so forth to a smart TV will indeed make it even smarter, plus easier and more enjoyable to use. Trust me on that one. I'd like to close out this presentation with another shout out for high quality antenna TV, mainly because it's really high quality and has so many offerings. And it's the best way to receive all the regular broadcast channels, and they're often very good to excellent sub-channels. Now, some of you say, well, what about Lowcast? Lowcast has a streaming service for over-the-air TV channels. My opinion regarding Lowcast, that while it's expected to improve in the future, it's not really ready for prime time. Well, that's my Tech Talk story for today, and I'm sticking with it. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and have a great day.
This is a video on can you make money with YouTube. This is a brief overview on how it is possible to make money on YouTube. There are many videos produced on courses on how to create your online business on YouTube. These courses can range from several $100s to, in fact, I've seen some up to $10,000. This is not such a course. It's just a brief review of how you could make money on YouTube. So let's have a look at this. There are basically 3 ways to make money on YouTube. One is through ad revenue, the second is through Patreon sponsorship, and the third is selling personal merchandise and services. YouTube grossed $24 billion in the last quarter. Now the money is made solely on advertising. And I want you to remember that Google is the most commonly used search engine, but YouTube is the second most common. They have roughly 7 billion videos per day. The average length of a video is about 11 minutes, and they have about 500 million watched per day. So it's big business. Advertising on YouTube is big business and their sole source of income for YouTube. We'll talk a lot about ads in a minute, but this is how they work. In this slide, this shows you that the creators create content. There are users, people watching it, and advertisers. YouTube puts these together and allow creators to have advertising so that the users which would be seen by the users. So everybody that has a Google account can have a YouTube channel. You just have to turn the channel on and you will have a YouTube channel, but not everybody with a YouTube channel can apply to have ads put into their videos. To do that, you have to become a partner with Google and enter into their partnership program. Now, I'm going to sort of rephrase this a little bit. The partnership program really isn't a partnership. What you're going to do is you're going to sign a contract with Google. The contract is really a one-way contract in which you really have no ability to change or dispute, and it can be taken away from you at any time. There are some very stiff rules that you have to abide by, or you get into big trouble. So it's not really a partnership, it's you're going to work for Google. Now, what are the requirements and rules to have your site monetized? Well, you have to have 1,000 subscribers and you have to have 4,000 watched hours from the previous year. Now, this is a lot of subscribers, and it usually takes people working on their channel about 2 or 3 years to get 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watched hours. So not everyone has the ability to do this, but this is how this is a requirement that you have to have before Google will allow you to have ads on your or have paid ads on your site. All right, let me give you an example on how this would work with my apple pie story. Now, let's say you have a new YouTube channel, you've never made a YouTube video before. The first thing is you have the best apple pie recipe in the world. Let's say you truly do have the best apple pie recipe. Let's say you make the best video on how to make your apple pie. And you now upload this video to your YouTube channel. You ask your wife to have a look at it and tell you how the video looks, and she does. She logs on and looks at it and tells you it's a great video. So here's the question. You ask your wife to look at the video, and after 2 weeks, how many videos on YouTube do you have? You can think about that now. It's a question. The answer is 1, because nobody's found your video except your wife, who of course saw it. The next thing that happens is you email 20 of your friends. You say, hey, I made this great video. Please watch it. How many views would you have after 2 weeks? What's the answer? The answer is, well, less than 20, maybe about 10. Now you've had it up there, you have the best apple pie and the best video, and no one's seen it. All right, now you go onto your social media, you go to Facebook, and you have 2,000 Facebook friends, whatever you want to call them, and you say to those 2,000 people, please look at my great apple pie video. I have the great apple pie in the world. And when you do that, I want you to click like and subscribe to my channel. Please, please, please do that. All right. Now the question is, how many views would you have in another 2 weeks? Watch the answer now. Well, the answer would be less than 2,000, but all have subscribed and like. Okay, of course, you're using social media now to get more people to come to your site. All right, you wait a further 2 weeks. How many views would you have? Let's have a look. Millions. Why? Well, because what happens is when all your friends went over and in a short time subscribed and liked, the Google algorithm that watches all the YouTube videos took note. And all that is a very high number of people to subscribe and like. So the search ranking all of a sudden went up to the top. So when people were searching on the internet or on YouTube for apple pie, you would come up as one of the first. And then they would share that, because remember, you have the best apple pie in the world, and they would share that. And that's how you get your videos promoted on YouTube. All right, let's look at the second way you can make money, and this is through Patreon support. Patreon is a company that was formed in 2013 by Jack Conte and Sam Yam. And Patreon will send out about $500 million to their memberships in 2019. So what happens with Patreon is a company. you and it collects money and gives it back to the content creators. All right, so it's a neat way of you supporting the content creators. And I'm going to give you two examples of this. I'm sure you all know Steve Dotto from Dotto Tech. Steve Dotto has been around for a long time and has had one of the more successful YouTube channels on internet. He works very hard and has a professional staff. Steve has about 1,000 Patreon supporters paying him about $10 a month. This adds to about $10,000 a month that he has revenue from Patreon support. I am a Patreon supporter because I believe in his high quality webinar Wednesdays. I watch them every week and learn a lot from them. So I support his channel because I believe in what he's doing. He does have a staff of 4 and a lot of equipment to manage. But this is how he funds his channel. He probably makes some money from ad revenue, but primarily his support for this service is through Patreon support. The next was Project Atticus, and we talked about that last week. Project Atticus is Desiree and Jordan traveling around the world, and they are producing high quality videos to send back about their travels. Again, this is costly. They have drones, they have a lot of expensive camera equipment, so they have Patreon support. There's a little different. They charge per video, all right? And they make, and so you can pay per video, but you can limit it to 2 videos a month. So I probably pay around $10 a month to support their channel and what they're doing. I'm a sailor. I've done a lot of sailing in my life, and they're doing some really cool stuff, and I'd like to support them. And Patreon support is an easy way that you can do it to support their channel. Now, the last way is, of course, selling merchandise and personal services. An example of this might be how to make or edit a video. You could, or a website, you could put up and do a seminar on that, and at the bottom of the description, you could have, and you could consult me for personal video making or website consultant. So you can use that to promote your own services. And that's the third way that you can make money. In summary, there's 3 ways to make money. There's ad revenue, there's Patreon sponsorship, and there's selling your merchandise or personal services.
Good morning, Tech for Seniors. Today we're going to talk a little bit about routers and Wi-Fi. And a saying I've been using for so many years, the constant with technology is it's always changing. So now let's talk a little bit about the new Wi-Fi naming standards. At the end of the 20th century was the beginning of Wi-Fi in the world of home computers. No longer did we need to use an Ethernet cable to connect to the internet. So the Institute for Electrical and Electronic Engineers, that's a mouthful, they developed the first internationally recognized wireless LAN, local area network standard known as the IEEE 802.11. The early versions were called the 802.11a and the 802.11b, and then in subsequent years, newer, faster, improved routers were brought to market, and they had different letters at the end of those numbers, such as G, N, AC, and last year AX was added to the list. Now this really became a complicated issue for the general public to understand and be able to differentiate between these different versions. So a newer, easy naming convention for these Wi-Fi standards has been implemented. So as you can see from this chart, all the old technical naming conventions have been converted to an easy naming. And going back to the beginnings of Wi-Fi, we have Wi-Fi 1 and Wi-Fi 2, and then showing you the years that they came out. And the latest one, Wi-Fi 6, which was finalized in 2019, you can now purchase these routers. So what will Wi-Fi 6 do? Well, many things, but some of the more important ones, it'll deliver an improved experience to address device and application needs in a range of consumer as well as corporate or enterprise environments. So these include 35% more speed than what is possible with Wi-Fi 5. The signal strength will be improved, latency will be reduced, and the good news is these brand new routers will be backwards compatible with older Wi-Fi enabled devices. Now we all every year probably add in our homes new devices that want to tap onto our Wi-Fi connectivity. Well, Wi-Fi 6 provides support for over 75 devices simultaneously, so that should take care of almost anybody's needs. It'll also greatly improve the ability to stream 4K video as well as applications used in online gaming activities. And what the new Wi-Fi 6 and the new routers that have it are bringing to the table are the two bands that are available for Wi-Fi. There's the 2.4 gigahertz band that's been around from day one, and still works fine. It provides coverage at a longer range, but transmits data at slower speeds. Now, the new 5 gigahertz band, while it provides the ability to transmit data at faster speeds, the coverage isn't as great. So why is that? Well, the range is lower in the 5 gigahertz band because higher frequencies cannot easily penetrate solid objects such as walls and floors. So to take advantage of the two bands, you need both a router with this feature, and your computer's network adapter needs to be able to recognize the 5 gigahertz band. So if you take a look in Device Manager, if your network wireless adapter shows letters like AC or ABGN or AGN, this means the computer has a 5 gigahertz network band capability that will show up as an available network in addition to the standard 2.4 gigahertz band. But if your computer does not have a 5 gigahertz band capability, don't worry. You can purchase a USB Wi-Fi adapter for this purpose on Amazon for about $15. The bottom line, when you have the two bands available to you, do some testing in the home with your computers, comparing the two bands and taking into consideration the testing by doing it at different distances from the router, all of this to see what works best for you. Okay, is it time to replace your router? If your current router is the Wi-Fi 4 version or earlier, I think now is the time to at least consider replacing it so you can take advantage of the improvements made in the last 6+ years. Just heat over time can damage connectivity. And then if you're going to purchase a new router, you have the opportunity to get one with dual bands. And also, maybe you want to consider a router modem combo if one is available for your type of setup. I've had a combo when I had DSL, and even now when I've switched over to a cable company, ISP, I insisted that I get a combination router modem. After all, it's only one item, one device you have to worry about. Also, if you're renting your router from your ISP, consider purchasing your own. I did that when I had to get a new router. Usually it takes less than a year to recover the cost by not paying monthly rental fees. But you want to make sure to contact your ISP to confirm what router brands and models will work on their system, and make sure that they have made any necessary changes on their end so your new router will work with your setup. Lots and lots of talk lately about mesh Wi-Fi systems. What are they? Well, mesh systems have become very popular as a method to address Wi-Fi dead spots in the home. So while Wi-Fi extenders perform as that name implies, by extending the Wi-Fi range, a mesh Wi-Fi system consists of two or more router-like devices that work together to blanket your home with a Wi-Fi signal. Mesh systems, when first introduced a couple of years ago, were expensive, but as competition has increased, they are now competitively priced, and systems like the Amazon Eero work with the Echo family of devices. The final cost will be determined by the size of your home and how many units you will need for complete coverage.